Hello everyone, it's me Clayson. I just finished watching Arthur the King, based on a true story and starring Mark Wahlberg, Natalie Emanuel, Simu Liu, Ali Solomon, and being narrated by Bear Grylls. So this movie happens to take a story of real life about a racer in Ecuador who ends up befriending a dog who manages to traverse miles upon miles to see someone who is finally kind to him after he was left in the street with nothing to eat. And it turns it into a film about a race in the Dominican Republic with basically the same exact premise. So, does this lead to a good drama involving a man trying to win and a very good boy by his side? Well, let's get to the story, shall we? The story follows Michael Light, played by Mark Wahlberg, who is obsessed with winning an adventurous race after he led his team to utter defeat in a race 3 years ago when he didn't take his teammates' advice. So, when he gets one more chance to win a big race in the Dominican Republic in 2018, he enlists the help of social media star Leo, played by Simu Liu, a climber and the daughter of a legendary athlete, played by Natalie Emanuel, Olivia, and Chick, the navigator with a bad knee, played by Ali Solomon. The four of them take on a race that takes several days and over 400 miles, as a street dog happens to follow the team after Michael ultimately feeds the dog some meatballs. The dog hasn't been treated well by anyone else, so the dog follows the team for miles and miles and miles until he eventually becomes the unofficial fifth member of the team, and Michael has to decide between finally winning one of these races or showing compassion to someone and learning the true meaning of teamwork and the true meaning of friendship. So yeah, when you go into this movie, it seems like this sort of thing is going to follow very typical sports movie trends when it comes to its story, where it starts off with a protagonist who wants to win above all else, but he learns the true meaning of what it means to compete and what it means to be part of a team. It definitely follows the beats of that story very closely, and it doesn't really redefine the mold, but it doesn't need to in this case. Mainly because the performances are strong, and because the believable relationship between Michael and the dog shows that even an animal like a dog can convince someone like Michael that maybe the problem was him when it comes to his personal definition of what winning is. That just because you don't win a race, that doesn't mean you can't win something better. You know, becoming a better person and to learn what it really means to think of the team above yourself. It ultimately feels like that's a message that's definitely worth going for, but it doesn't feel like the film forgets to be a fun movie when it comes down to it. There are some films that put the message first and make an entertaining movie second. This one has the message very clear throughout, but it still manages to maintain its fun atmosphere through not only its montages, but also in the fact that you really get a sense that the team works well together. A lot of that has to do with the chemistry of the cast. Simu Liu happens to do very well when he's got tons of people to work off of. I noticed that in Shang-Chi. And it's the same idea here. He works quite well off of Mark Wahlberg, and he's very entertaining with his social media personality. Ali Solomon works well as the old mentor figure who is clearly the one who is the most injury prone, but he's also invaluable as the navigator. And he tries to do his best to keep up with the younger members of the team. Natalie Emanuel also works rather well as a rock climber and also the one who's often the voice of reason when the guys get into big arguments. But of course, Arthur the King refers to the dog himself, where clearly they got a dog who's not only able to look like he's gone through hell and back, but also one who's well trained enough to believably react to Mark Wahlberg's various dialogue to him. And Wahlberg, of course, he does his usual shtick, but it works out pretty well for this protagonist. He seems to be the go-to guy for a lot of these based on a true stories anyways. I wouldn't say that the antagonists are rather interesting. And ultimately, the film can be rather predictable in its structure, but when it gets stuff right, it gets stuff really right. So I don't think this is must-watch entertainment, but it's definitely worth a watch if you like not only fun animal movies, but also movies about athletes who learn to become better people. That's why I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. See you next time.